From formation to taxation, covering inflation, temptation, high expectations, and that dreaded stagnation, we bring to you Hip Nation.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Hip Nation. My voice sounds funny today, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Jenny, leave the microphone alone.
I know, I was making sure I was a fist distance away.
Okay, what, with your mouth?
As I stick my tongue out to see if I can reach.
Right.
It's my push-ups.
Anyway, so, as you all know, we have a follow and a subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening on, so please hit it if you liked what you heard. We also have a donate link at the end of every episode description. If you really like what you heard, you can donate some money to us because this is a lot of work that we do for free.
Or if you don't, you just think that the hosts need a little extra help.
Yeah, there we go.
Some serious psychological
Especially
stuff.
Jenny, because this is not even her podcast and she's always here.
I just like to have the opportunity to talk. I get told to shut up a lot, so...
Not from me, though.
No, never. No, just at home.
And lastly, our guest today doesn't have a book pick, but that's okay because we'll just keep some random books up on our website. And if anyone wants to buy that particular book, click that link and then we get a kickback from it.
Cool.
So as I mentioned, my name is Sarah. I'm here with Jenny today. And we have a super fun guest who we were just talking off the air, and this sounds like it's going to be a pretty exciting episode. So,
super fun guy.
Yeah, super
the fellow that we got in today is a local business owner here in Penticton and also in Oliver.
Correct.
Yep. So I'm going to pass it over to Ryan and let him introduce himself.
Yeah, that's you absolutely nailed it. My name's Ryan Graham, and I'm an operating partner of Blue Water Cannabis. We got 2 locations in the beautiful Okanagan Valley. We've got Oliver, which we've been rocking for about 2.5 years. And then our Penticton location, it's our 1-year anniversary next Friday. So it's been a wild ride.
Wow. Are you having a big party?
Yeah, we're having a big party. Got lots of cool stuff planned, lots of giveaways. We got a pretty rad staycation, 2 nights at the lakeside. With,
Do you really?
Yeah, with multiple
cool.
GCs to businesses. And
What?
that's part of the Blue Water brand. You know, our slogan's cool people doing cool shit. So
Well, let me add some stuff to that.
Absolutely.
Weird how one of us cool people here didn't
Right?
even get hit up for a cool GC. So.
Right?
well, you know, I figured we use this, give you 2.5 hours, get this done, and then I would hit you up. So we could just cut right to
I
it.
just wanted to
Wait a
spend a little
minute.
time together and
When
butter me
is-
up.
Yeah,
You're
you know,
grooming me.
I actually thought Loosey Goosey was going to be here. So
Oh, God, no.
shout out to Loose.
You know, we don't have to do everything together.
She would probably prefer it that way.
we
Kidding.
like our breaks.
When did you say the 1-year anniversary is?
Our 1-year anniversary for the Penticton location is March 25th. So it's this next Friday coming up.
Okay, so this episode will air after that's already happened, but that's okay because I'll still give you a GC and some stuff,
Yeah, for sure.
some swag.
So it was a really good time. We'll just say that. We
Yeah, I
attended,
know.
had a
It was
blast.
the best
Great
party
party.
ever.
Awesome party supplies you got there, and, you know, good selection.
Scooby snacks, I'm assuming.
Tons of Scooby snacks.
Is that off the record? So, yeah, keep talking. We want to know even more about you.
Well, let's go. So I was born in Yorkton, Saskatchewan.
Shut up.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
family there.
There you go. Yeah,
prairie jumper.
Moved here when I was 2, and I was here ever since. So, pride myself as an Okanagan guy, and was fortunate to go to school, kindergarten to grade 12 here, and
We went to school together.
yeah.
I remember, that's how long we've known each other.
Yeah.
Probably since.
McNichol Dragons. What?
Whoa. Yeah. So
What does
we
that
were
even mean?
13 or 14 years old. So it's been about 20 years of friendship
Yeah, it's crazy.
that we've known each other. Yeah.
It's like this community's sweet for school. I think School District 67 is like one of the golden standards in BC, if not Canada.
Whoa.
Definitely.
That's a tall order.
Big
order,
statement.
As Jenny,
You're running for council or what's going on?
man, if I got half a nickel for everyone that wants to run for council, I'd be on vacation somewhere. I do
Not running for council. Still thinking about it.
Yeah, the council thing obviously is getting brought up more significantly with main election coming up, and I've always kind of prided myself on being a guy behind the scenes, but certainly.
What would that look like for you being in the public eye? Would that scare you a little bit?
Not really.
To be on your good behavior or take you as you are?
Oh, you know what? Take it or leave it. I got a lot of friends on this planet.
Yeah.
Definitely the public eye. I learned, when I joined the DPA, which is the Downtown Penticton Association, I joined it just as a young 20-year-old entrepreneur that really thought let's call it like it was, a lot of old people kind of outdated, and I thought it needed a fresh perspective and joined the DPA to kind of add that young entrepreneur twist. And about a year later, the past president was stepping down, and there was some nominations, and my name got floated, and next thing you know, I was president of the DPA. So
you were just a member, and then the next year you were the president?
Yeah, I joined as just a board member, and then I was secretary, which I was absolutely horrible at because I felt like I would listen to the conversation, but I forget that I'm supposed to be writing notes on this. Right. So I was absolutely the worst secretary of history of secretaries. And then we had a past president stepping down, and few people kind of wanted to do it, and then my name got floated. I didn't think for a moment I would be the guy, but ended up being the guy for close to 3 years. So.
Shit.
That's really cool.
That is impressive.
Yeah, it was really sweet. It was a different perspective of our town, because when you sit as a president or a board member and a DED of any nonprofit in the community, you certainly learn very quickly how this city operates.
Right.
The cliques and funding.
The good old boys.
Yeah, the good old boys. I absolutely hate it. There are so many brilliant people in this community, and I just feel like the same names are continually brought up for different EDs and different roles, and I just it'd sure be nice, and it's easier said than done. Sometimes, in a volunteer board or anything, it's a thankless job, and to your point, Jenny, being in the public eye, I'm in the public eye every day through Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook anyways. Yep.
Mr. Influencer.
Yeah, that's you. But to, the politics of being president of DPA, I learned very quickly, like I said, how the city worked, the ins and outs, the funding, and I had came on kind of at a weird influx time of the DPA, new executive director, kind of refocus the DPA. And one of our things, was startling, how much credit the city of Penticton were taking for DPA events. The DPA, we did the Canada Day fireworks, we did the parades, we did. And then it was always, whether it be Andrew Jacobite mayor at the time or John Vasilaki now, the city would always take the accolades.
Right.
Which was whatever, we don't need our pat on the back, but it just became a thing where it came a point to where we were running all these civic events. There's obviously an associated cost to that, and it came to a dollars and cents thing to what our memberships are asking us to do, and why would the DPA exist, to where events were just taking a top priority. And so even in the paper, it became very contentious, and some comments were made. Right. By some counselors now that, we as the DPA just threw this on their lap, and we had bombarded them, which we hadn't. We had asked for months to get in a room with them and discuss it. And they really weren't listening. So finally, I just did a motion for a vote, and we voted to hand over the events to the city.
Yeah.
We handed the events to the city with all of the literature, how to do it.
Yeah.
Basically left it for them. And then, of course, comments were made. And, I was very on Ryan characteristic. We had an event with, most of the media. And I was fairly quiet about things because, like you said, you're in the public eye and you just never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I will get radical and run for councillor, or maybe I'll get really radical and I'll run for mayor. Who
Yeah.
knows? That said, I'm a huge proponent of accountability.
Yeah.
So when you have councillors making very vicious, poisonous comments, I have no problem being the guy that keeps them accountable.
Good for
if you're
you,
in a
yeah.
civic position and you collect a paycheck and you want to represent, the citizens of Penticton, educate yourself before you make comments, because, there's always a two-way street. And I think the city learned a valuable lesson,
Yeah.
that the nonprofits in this community are absolutely vital for its success. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
And I think, once you bitter that relationship, it's tough to mend it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I'm a fairly easygoing guy, pretty laid back. And I just, from, how my name was brought up, and, my executive director, Lynn Allen, is let's put it out there, is a career entrepreneur, successful businesswoman.
Yeah.
And so, everything she's done has touched to gold, right?
Yeah.
So we just had a moment where we sat and just said, like, enough's enough. Like,
Yeah.
If we don't keep them accountable. And, one of the more contentious was the, sitting on the downtown and, I feel like as a society, the 94%, we cater to the 6%.
Yeah.
Right. And so, we had done a bylaw with the city, and bylaw all agreeing that it was a bylaw designed for the 20 some odd individuals that shoot up, drink, defecate day after day in our downtown core. We just had designed a bylaw to kind of have kind of a tool to deal with that. And of course, a few, the 12, 13 people that got together and, did a little Nanaimo Square march, made it like we were going after the mom and dad that want to sit with their kid during a parade. And it couldn't have been any further from the truth, right? Like we're, sometimes you need to make tough decisions for the whole of the community, right? We cannot continually cater to the 6%. And that's why, ultimately I have all the respect in the world for counselors. It's a thankless job, peanuts on the dollar. But if you want to be the guy or the girl, I think you need to be in there for the right, right intentions. And I think right now, the disconnect between mayor, council, and our city staff, our senior staff run the city. It's not council and mayor, right? So when you've got 3 or 4 individuals basically doing whatever they want, no shining more example. The city is going to spend close to $700,000 on the Adidas Sportsplex for indoor turf and outdoor irrigation, which obviously I'm all for the sports.
Yeah. Big sports guy.
Yeah, big sports guy.
Big sports
If we can spend that kind of money, why can't we find $1 million a year to fund Pathways? Pathways is an organization I believe has been in this community 40 plus years.
Yeah.
Once the other shelter opens up, we've got more beds per anywhere capita in Canada for shelters. And there's a fundamental need for shelters. There's no denying that.
No.
But how we're going about it, there just has to be better dialogue.
Better dialogue and more support, and
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
given the opportunity to kind of succeed, setting people up for success, not just with housing, but also with, programs to help with that, right?
I share, the It-Bit kind of clip here or there on some of my platforms, and and you really use it as an educational tool. You use it as a talking point.
Yeah.
It's like we've got issues in this community.
Yeah.
We can't continually brush it under the rug. We're a 4.5 kilometer by 8 kilometer box that is Penticton. Right? To our neighbors, we've got the PIB, then we've got a mountain and 2 beautiful lakes. So God ain't making any more land. So we need to figure out how to coincide, not only with our homeless, but our most vulnerable, right? Are the addictions. And there's a documentary, I see hundreds of people a week, and, obviously we have, debates from easy peasy stuff to like some heavy shit.
Yeah.
And I think if we have the conversation on the heavy shit, it makes it easier to have that dialogue.
Yeah.
And there's a documentary called The Fight for the Soul of Seattle, and Como did it, and it's the first 4 minutes and 34 seconds is a spitting image, not only North America, but really Canada, Okanagan, and small town Penn, right?
Yeah.
You see the uneducated comments, our RCMP don't do anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, if
yeah.
you educate yourself, first and foremost, our local RCMP see 100 more cases than Kelowna RCMP. Again, we're 4 kilometer by 8 kilometer box. So when you really dissect the numbers, what they're doing in this community, it's not our RCMP. They're extremely frustrated. It's our judges.
Yeah.
When our judges will allow the same 25-year-olds with 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 convictions. I saw a thing just on Thursday last week. A judge was quoted, well, don't make me look bad.
Yeah.
Well, Judge, I hate to tell you this,
You made yourself.
Billy Boy gonna be back.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. And again, it ties into the fact that when we become kind of climatized to it, at my stores, when you see that young mom and the daughter walk past and they're that individual's having an overdose, I always kind of look at it from a different perspective. I look at the fact that like they're walking by and there's really there's no like engagement or like no kind of like drastic look. Like when we become climatized to that,
that's desensitized,
100%,
right? Yeah,
desensitized. So when we become desensitized to that, that's a serious issue.
Yeah, it's getting more and more,
100%,
more and more desensitized.
And again,
for
it's
sure.
like you see the comments online, and it's like everyone's entitled to their opinions and their thoughts, and that's why we live in Canada. But ultimately, it ties back. We're all human beings, and I think for the most part, Penticton's kind of in that influx of like we all need to coincide, and I absolutely love seniors. My grandmother was my best friend, and we're still the same, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds door for them at the banks or pushing their little carts when the snow's built up on the sidewalk. And it's not a knock to our seniors. We love our seniors.
Yeah.
But we need to progress. We can't continually say no to new events. Like Wakefest was an amazing opportunity for us to grab, and we turned it down. And when I moved back from Alberta and Saskatchewan, I was away for 10 years.
Let's talk about that a little bit more because I want to talk about your background.
Can we stop for just 1 sec? Because the sound
So, I want to hear more about your background because we went to school together and then
We did.
you just kind of pieced out and I wasn't sure where you went, if you got kidnapped, died, transitioned, wasn't sure.
Yeah. Well,
like to the other side? Like what are we
Oh,
saying about
male to
transition?
female. Come on now, it's 2022.
I thought we were talking
anything.
about the universe.
love
The
is love.
universe. Oh yeah, you love the universe.
Yeah, it's actually it's a very Ryan Graham story.
Yeah.
So
Can't wait.
I was working at a time when like clubs and the bars were cool in Penticton. So I was bouncing for a few years.
Speaking of clubs.
Right. And basically had a few bevies at the Blue Mule and decided, because a lot of my friends were like, they were drinking, but they were all heading to Alberta to work on the rigs.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck it. I'm coming too.
Yeah.
And
Right now, let's go.
let's go.
Start the car.
So don't really remember much. I guess went home, woke my mom up at 2:30 in the morning, said, Mom, I love you. I'm going to work on the rigs. I'll call you later.
Holy shit.
Woke up in the back of a truck, like in the back of the cab, looking up to the beautiful Alberta sky.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what is going on?
Holy.
So yeah, I moved.
Fubar 3.
Oh, it was like unreal. So I ended up in Edmonton. So you go from like small town Penticton, the world can do no wrong, to like Berta. And
Hashtag Berta.
hashtag Berta.
Yeah.
And so it's like cliche. I'm like, well, fuck, I'm here now. Like, what are we going to do? So
Yeah.
I went to Neighbors Drilling.
Yeah.
I made it 4 hours. I did So I like basically look back at it, like, when I was there, it was like a 12-hour training session. I made it like 4 hours. I was like, you know what, boys?
Not for
It
me.
ain't for me.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, you got to drive 2 hours from and to the rig,
Yeah.
work 12 hours. I don't know if this is me, I feel like I could do better pushing buttons and telling jokes. So I ended up bouncing on White Ave. So it was like pretty cool. And this is right when...
So also not pushing buttons and telling jokes.
So I was like, well, I'm not going to do like rigging because that's
Yeah.
just like no knock to the rig boys, God bless you, but I was like, that is not my vibe.
Yeah.
So I started bouncing on like White Ave, and then next thing I know, I was working for a guy that owned a few clubs in Edmonton. Then he owned like a liquor store and like a liquor outlet store. So I started delivering booze for him.
Okay.
And it was sweet. Like I was like the funny Okanagan dude, like the young guy. So I had like the milk run of runs. So I'd like basically did like West Edmonton Mall, North Side, South Side, delivering kegs. And
Oh, no way.
yeah, I was like crazy. And it wasn't until like I realized like I'm not from Edmonton.
Yeah.
And this was before like phones could like give you directions.
So you have your old school paper map out? Like,
Yeah,
always
basic-
unfolded because you can't fold those
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
So I like basically Kelly was the owner. I had him on like speed dial. I was like, yo, I'm fucking, I don't even know where I am at this point. He's like, well, you're an hour and a half the wrong way.
the Okanagan boy, hey?
Yeah.
Were you still wearing your shorts every single day,
year-round.
all season?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll never forget London Dairy Mall, Northside Edmonton. We built the Docks, which is like an East Coast bar and restaurant. It was like really cool.
Yeah.
And rock the shorts.
Did you?
Oh yeah. And so it was like connects to a mall. And this lady one day, she's like, son, you realize you're in shorts. And I said, yes, ma'am, I don't own pants. She goes, why? I said, because you never know when you need to drop kick someone. You just never know.
You can't get high enough in
Is that
pants,
true?
right?
Is
Right?
that the answer? That's for
100%.
real? Why you wear
never
shorts?
know. Right? Like Sparta 300, you just never know. So I ended up, and it kind of was kind of cool. So we building clubs, we're running clubs. I'm getting paid an absorbent amount to make sure people are happy in the club. So
Yeah.
like, this is what God put me on this planet for.
Yeah. To make people happy.
Yes.
That's
So
what
then
you
I
do.
took a small contract for my owner. His brother had bought a Best Western restaurant, liquor store, nightclub, actually in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, where I was born.
Oh, cool.
So they were talking about it, and Big Mouth Ron, I go, oh, I'm from fucking Yorkton. That's cool. And I had never been back.
Wow.
Like,
You left home and just never turned
basically
back.
we moved here, and then like we lived here, and then my parents split up when I was 14. My parents split up, and I never saw my dad again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm always curious to know what brings people to the Okanagan to stay. Because
Yeah.
it's not, back then there wasn't a whole lot booming except for
It wasn't
tourism.
booming, but it's like the culture and the sandals and the shorts, and it's like when you get off work and you can take your kids to the beach, whether it's Ska
Right.
or Penticton. It's like I could make more money in Alberta and Saskatchewan, Ontario, and certainly like taking corporate jobs, but it's just like my lifestyle looking now, it's like it's more important for me to be able to like drop my kid off, pick my kid up, like
do shit with them too, right? There's so much to
100%,
do
right?
here. I
'Cause
think, yeah.
I have so many, like yourself, we have so many friends that, they're doing it for their family, but, like they're working 21 or, 25 days away out of the month.
Yeah. It's funny how many are trying to get back here now too, right? And it's a hard place to get back into, especially right now with the market and everything. And
Well, the
rentals
market's
and stuff.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's, I don't know many people that got 150,000 flush sitting in the bank account that are going to put a deposit down, right? Like it's just,
What?
crazy.
That's how much a deposit is for a booth?
no, I mean like for a house and stuff now, right?
Oh, I thought you meant like the downtown market.
Oh, yeah. no,
What? All right, carry on. My dumbass will shut
And
up.
Ryan
now.
brought some samples
Yeah,
apparently, and
right?
Sarah's dipping into
Sarah's
them right
high
now.
as a motherfucker right now. You know what's funny?
I'd like to caveat that I am not high as a motherfucker right now.
One time, I'll never forget. It was like my first kind of kick at the presidency, and we had this vendor start kind of yelling at the staff. So I got the call. So I popped over and I said, "Hey, fella, why don't we start with relax
Yeah.
and let's sit down."
Yeah.
And I sat him down and I said, "Well, what do you do? What do you do per Saturday?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do?" He goes, "Oh, I do this." I said, "Okay, so simple math here.
Yeah.
You do this times this many days.
Yeah.
You're making this much money, and you're complaining about your registration fee.
Right.
Like literally, you're doing 100,000+ a year
Yeah.
What?
out of the market, based off what he was telling me he was doing per market,
Yeah.
and you're yelling at a volunteer board, a volunteer president, and then the two employees in the ED. You're yelling about a $500 fee."
Was this for the regular market?
Yeah, this
Like
was
the downtown market
yeah,
now, the farmer's market?
I know it's so funny because you got the farmer's market, then you got like this, and
Yeah. The housing market, the farmer's
the
market.
housing
Okay,
market.
whatever, Jenny.
But yeah, so that's like its own little beast. But yeah, so circling back, so yeah, I was like running nightclubs and stuff, and yeah, basically I grew up here, and I felt like if I stay here, I'm gonna be that cliche, like grew up in Penn. You have that I call it the Penticton box. You can tell right away, like growing up here, who stayed, who went away and failed and succeeded. Because I personally feel like you learn more off of failure. Because I grew up like Hoosier life. I grew up in Penticton, and when my parents were together, they had businesses. We were fairly wealthy. And then when my parents split up, it went from like, then my mom got cancer again, and she was really sick through junior high and high school. It became like we were like poor. So it was like kind of a culture shock of like house, pool, businesses to like 2-bedroom apartment with your brother.
Yeah.
And so,
God, that must have been crazy.
Yeah.
You had to grow up pretty fast then, hey?
super fast,
Yeah.
right? And so like, and it was like, I could have been one of those guys that like I see now, and like I'm sure you have friends too, because when you grew up in Penn, you know everyone. Like I have like, not friends, but I have colleagues that I've known since we were in kindergarten together that, are obviously down on their luck, hooked on opiates. So it's super sad. Like if I don't have like the Chris Terraces, the Paul Men's of the world, the Mr. DeVitos.
Oh, shout out to Paul Mann.
Yeah,
That guy.
Mender. So it's cool because when you
it's
grow
weird when you call your teachers still Mr. Mr.
know,
or Mrs. and
it's
stuff.
so
Like I
funny.
would feel so wrong calling them Paul.
So when I moved back,
it feels weird.
When I
Fuck
moved
that.
back, Chris Terrace and them had started like Lake
I
City
love
basketball.
Mr. Terrace.
And so I
yes.
was like all in because I was a big basketball guy, and
Yeah.
like when my mom was like, it was kind of my escape. It was like go to school, go to the ICU, hang out with my mom, come home, make dinner for my brother.
Oh,
I had no
God, you're
idea that was
killing
going
me.
on.
Yeah, so I
Holy
never
shit.
really talked about it because like, I don't know what, I didn't want to be looked at a different way. Like I always wanted to be like that positive go lucky guy, but
Definitely.
like
Wow.
certainly some heavy shit behind the scenes. And so yeah, if I don't have those teachers, now it's funny because I look at Mr. DeVito as like my grade 8, 9, 10 socials and rugby teacher. Shit, now he's the head honcho of KVR.
Right.
So it'll be like where my kid Jensen goes to school now in Columbia. I was there kindergarten to grade 7.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So then when the natural progression was 8, 9, 10 to Penn High.
Yeah.
And we might get in shit for this. But what I did is for 8, 9, 10, then I went to Princess Margaret with Mr. Terrace to transfer to go win a provincial basketball championship. So at the time, I'm registered at Penn High and at Maggie.
No way.
Shut up.
So my mom, I come home one day and like this time, like she's a little bit
You
easier.
little scammer guy.
So
you,
it's so
hey?
funny. My mom, she starts freaking out. She's like, "You better get your ass to school, boy." I said, "Mom, I was just, what are you fucking talking about, girl?
Yeah.
I'm there every day." She goes, "What's this letter?" And it's like from Penn High.
Yeah.
So this like got my full attention. I'm like, "Oh, we gotta have some fun with this." So the next day, I went to Penn High. I went to the office and I said, "Ryan Graham checking in."
Yeah.
And no one really knows me. They're like, "Yeah, you need to like start going to your classes." I'm like, "Well, I'm here now."
Yeah.
So I went into, I forget the teacher's name, Buttersworth.
Mr. Butters?
Yeah,
The
like
rugby?
like a legend. So
Yeah,
I walked
Butters.
in there.
He was cool. I liked him.
And he goes, "Well, who are you?" I said, "Well, I'm Ryan Graham." He goes,
Yeah.
"Well, where have you been?" I said, "Listen, sir, I'm double dipping. I'm getting some education on the south side at Maggie, and apparently I'm enrolled here. So I'm going to give you like 35 minutes of my time. Let's do it." Well, he didn't like that.
No
So I got
kidding.
booted to the principal's office, and I basically told him, I said, "Well, I'm actually like enrolled at Maggie." So I went to Maggie for grade 11, 12, first grad
Yeah,
class.
they
of-
don't like that, eh?
No, they don't like it. So I was first grad class of Princess Margaret.
Fucking double agent. Jesus Christ, man.
So I graduated in 04, and so we were the first grad class with Princess Margaret.
That's
so,
cool.
Yeah, it was like pretty cool. And when I first went there, I was always like called like, "Oh, the McNichol kid." And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
my second day, I got suspended, but I got suspended based on the fact that like my second day there, I saw a bully.
Oh, yeah. This is an interesting story.
Yeah, so I was always like, I was like a little guy, and then I had like a growth spurt.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna get bullied anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bully the bullies.
Okay.
So my second day, this kid like takes this special need kid student and like slams his head in the locker.
What?
Yeah, right. So I'm like,
God, I hate high school boys.
I know. So
Yeah,
at the
friggin'
time, like the little devil on the left's like, get him. The
Get
other
'em.
guy's like, yo, Ryan, you're not even here 72 hours. They're already hating on you because you did like McNichol. You should be at Penn High, but I'm here to win a provincial championship. So shut up. So I went like halfway. So in typical Rye fashion, I put that kid in the locker. And so one of the TAs walked past and she's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I said, pretty clear what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
Didn't try and hide it or buckle.
it's tough to hide when you put someone in a locker, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Time to own it. So I go to the office
fight
and rest his soul, one of the greatest humans I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, Mr. Johnson, Bruce Johnson. He goes, Rye, like, this is not a good start. Why are you here? And I said, Mr. J, I'm going to be completely honest, man. I'm here for a few things. Tell some jokes, shoot some hoops, get a half-decent education, and make some memories.
Yeah.
But what I will not
These are
stand...
the things you actually said.
Yeah, that was...
I'd
that
have
was
been like, I don't know.
that was my platform. I'm here to...
I would have just been like, I'm here to fuck shit
Yeah.
up.
And I just told him, I was like, Mr. J, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to stand for people bullying special needs
Good
kids.
for you, yeah.
It's just not going to happen while I'm here.
Yeah.
So what I did, Mr. Johnson, is I put that individual in that locker. And then I closed it. And now I'm sitting with you. He gave me a 2-day...
Mad props, dude.
Thank you. So, again, Mr. J, this is typical Bruce Johnson. That's why he will be the GOAT of GOATs ever.
Yeah.
He goes, well, Rye, we got to suspend you. And I was like, damn, like, we're not going to tell my mom, right?
Day 2.
I know. I got a 2-day in-school suspension, peer tutoring, PE, and foods class.
Oh, wow.
So not exactly like they came down on me.
Yeah.
So that, Princess Margaret was sweet.
Rough
Again,
life.
you know, it's such a small little community. And then I got voted class historian. And so,
What's, like-
so class historian, so you have like your valedictorian,
Yeah.
and then you have your class historian. So your class historian, I kind of thought it was cooler because it wasn't the teachers voting, it was like your peers.
Yeah.
So you had all these kids that grew up each other, like Snowden,
Yeah.
KVR. So they all been together for years. And then here's the transplant, Ryan, the McNichol Dragon, coming telling jokes and having a good time.
Yeah.
So
Shooting hoops.
shooting hoops.
Kicking ass. Just kicking ass. Shooting hoops and kicking ass.
and shooting hoops. And so I got picked by my peers to be class historian. And like I took it super serious. Like I did more library time working on my class historian speech than I had like my provincial exams.
Did you read some books?
No, didn't
No.
go that far.
Just chilled in the library. Let's
used
make
it-
this clear.
Yeah, I used it as like an opportunity. Like you're the first one, so you better set the tone quick, which is sweet
Right, I
because
guess
the
so.
years after I had like Dustin Johnson Dustin Johnson reach out to me. A few others were like, hey, like I'm class historian. Can I look at your speech?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. Like I took it super light, and I wanted it to be fun. Like I wanted it to be like it resonated the fact that like we're graduating.
Yeah.
But really, like the like Devil Ryan was saying, okay, you've got like 4 minutes
Yeah.
to lambaste some people that weren't nice to you.
Oh.
And I'm not talking like kids or like fellow like
You're the original roaster.
yeah. So I'm like, I got a few teachers that had a lot of things to say in grade 11, and now grade 12 we'd come second in the province in basketball.
Yeah.
You know, people understood like, hey, you know, he's actually not a bad guy. So
Did Penn High come first?
Pardon? So I like basically made it super fun, fresh, but I lambasted some teachers.
Yeah.
Some teachers that were transferring from Maggie to back to Penn High that following year. So I made sure like, but it was super cool. And
It was all tongue in cheek. It was
definitely, super tongue in cheek.
In a good Ryan
Yeah.
fashion,
So I like basically handed over to Mr. Terrace, and I was like, Mr. Terrace, like, don't ruin this.
Did he go to Maggie?
We went to Maggie together.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he transferred over. I went. Jeff Brewer, Dave.
Yeah.
A few of us went over to like try to build a super team
Oh.
to win a provincial championship. So that's why I went.
Nice.
Because everyone didn't understand it. Like all my friends were like, because you're with them like grade 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like Ryan's getting called at Penn High, but I'm over at Maggie, right? And
Yeah.
so now, after we had done that, moving forward now that could never be done again.
Yeah.
Now they're very systematic where you live,
The
where's your
zones
home,
and all
the
that.
zones.
Yeah.
Because they don't want that.
Cherry picker motherfuckers.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. And so I always tell people, like, I was super fortunate to grow up in this community. The fact that, like, the school district was so sweet. Even like when my mom was dealing with shit, like
Mm-hmm.
the teachers were super cool. And like you try to have like, good days. But sometimes like when I was just sitting in class, I was like, you leave your mom at night, you don't know if today's the day. So it's like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
it's kind of difficult to detach and like God bless you, but I don't care about the proper grammar or the socials or the extended long division of this question.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Right.
so that's kind of like how I've always lived my life in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Even my son now, like he got his report card and, like the letters, A, B, C's, like that's all cool. But I want to see the comments.
Yeah,
Like I want to
yeah.
see, like Jensen is super
Fuck,
funny.
is he
and
ever cute? And
he
he's just
looks
a little
like his
rock
mama,
star.
thank God. But I like watching the comments. Like he's trying.
Yeah.
I don't have an expectation of a grade, a 4.0.
A's all, yeah.
I don't want that. I want him to be, and I want him to be well-rounded.
He's the one that stuffs the kid in the locker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
That
And
you could be really proud of for sure.
So again, like I did kindergarten to grade 12 in this school district. And I think any parent that can have their kids come here, you're so fortunate because between the pack and, the different schools, I think we're so fortunate. Like Penticton just has so many incredibly amazing things. And it's just like, we're so focused right now on, again, the 6%.
Yep.
Like the 94% of Penticton, it's like breweries, wineries, like some of the most wicked entrepreneur restaurants now in this community.
Yeah.
No shine example, like the graphical hip and the hip pod
Yeah.
cast
Yeah.
out, right? It's like, it's cool to get new things to the community, right? And
Yeah.
I think the main thing now and where I focus my energies is like, you look at the old school Peach Fest is a shining example.
Yep.
God bless the 5440 lovers of the world.
Yeah.
But the fact that Peach Fest can put 15,000 people on that parcel of land for Peach Fest,
Yeah.
but Ryan can't get any love or support bringing 50, 60 teams for slow pitch.
Right.
Or I get met with, when I first moved back, I had created a little marketing and entertainment company in Edmonton. And my uncle helped me out with it. It was just an accredited little limited company. And so I started small, but then I did like a 3-day global DJs thing. Then I had like Staples corporate Christmas parties.
Cool.
So it was like
Wow.
it was like super diverse and it was like fun. And it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it was like super busy. And then finally I just had this like moment of like, you need to go home.
Yeah.
I left Penticton
Yeah.
and I was gone for 7 years.
Yeah.
I came back twice
Wow.
for 2 weddings.
Yeah.
Came, wedding, plane. back.
Was it hard to leave, or were you like, no, I need to get out again?
I just when I left, I was experiencing life, and it was super important for me growing up in that Penticton box that like
You went out.
yeah. So when I first moved to Edmonton, it's like your first apartment, it's your first roommate, you brought everything in. It's like, wow, I don't have a bed. Well, I guess I'm gonna fucking sleep on the blanket for the first few days. It's like, oh, I just had to go to the bathroom. Oh, mom doesn't buy the toilet paper.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like,
Right.
I think that will teach you more
Yeah.
than the small Penticton box, right?
Yeah.
Like it's important to fail.
Yeah.
And I tell people that all the time, like never cap yourself. If you want to be the guy or the girl in any industry, if you want to be successful, whatever it may be, never think you can't.
Yeah.
Go for it. What is the worst case scenario? I tried it
Yeah.
and it failed.
Yeah.
But at least I tried it.
Yeah.
Because looking back, time flies. I turned 36 now and it's like, fuck. Where did my 20s go?
I'd rather say I wish I hadn't than I wish I had. Like that's
Absolutely.
something I live. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of times though I've ended up naked with that saying, running down the street or into the lake. But it's a good, it's something to live by, and it's something I do too.
And so, like, I don't know, it was weird because I had no inclination that I wanted to move home. So when I moved to Edmonton, I had nothing. Like, I mean, backpack,
yeah,
cash in my pocket,
and a really good hangover,
and a really good hangover. And when I left, I had some roommates, and I had rented a house on North Edmonton, fully furnished, TVs, like, because you're making crazy money, and you're just a kid. Like, people are like, you're from Penticton? Like, why are you in Edmonton? It's like, I'm living life, baby. Like, this to me, like, Edmonton was like the golden standard of like, I didn't know anyone.
yeah,
I could walk through the mall and not know a soul. I could walk down like a street and not have to say a million hellos.
yeah,
So I had no inclination I was coming home. Finally, it was like some kind of, I was like, you need to get home.
Yeah.
In typical Ryan fashion, I told my best friend, I said, Rob, I'm moving home. When? My flight's in 2 days.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Come take this furniture because I'm not moving it home.
Yeah.
So when I left Edmonton, I didn't tell my roommates.
Oh, yeah.
I had so I hadn't told my roommates.
Are you still friends with them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah.
all's forgiven.
Oh yeah. It was like I hadn't done them dirty. First of all, it was like my lease, so I had to like rework the lease with the landlord. I had made insurances for the landlord because the landlord, when I like finally signed my lease and stuff, he didn't understand how young I was at the time.
Right.
Until finally he's like, "Well, how old are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I just turned 24, man." Right? He's like, "What?" So I literally knapsack, my watches,
Knapsack.
little-
There's that word again. Hey,
Right?
some of us say backpack. But
I'm a knapsack guy.
Right?
Yeah, I'm a
Knapsack.
knapsack guy through and through.
Is that like a?
It's 80s Saskatchewan, I'm pretty sure.
That's like Flatland, eh? And
Who's your bunny hug?
so then I took my watches, my cash, some clothes, and I moved home. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my brother. I didn't tell anyone I was coming home. I flew to Kelowna, and then this was like back when Greyhound was still a thing. I Greyhound in to Penn.
Yeah.
And I was like a kid again. I was like looking at the event center for the first time, and I was like, how did we get such a badass event center?
Yeah.
Right? So then years later, you look into like how much we spent and how much it makes, yada, yada, yada. So
what kind of music they play?
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, that's cool, but can we get it relevant?
Yeah.
So I moved home. I obviously surprised my mom.
Yeah. She must have been stoked.
She was super stoked.
Yeah.
12 days later, my mom passed away.
Oh, wow. That was the
So it was like
universe.
super heavy shit to the fact that like I'd been gone for 7 years.
Something told you had to come back.
Yeah, it was
too.
weird. I was like literally at home and I was like, I need to go home.
Yeah.
Like I was worried about my brother. I was getting phone calls.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's time I come home. And so I came home and I like basically was sleeping on my mom's couch, just had moved home. Mm-hmm. Didn't know what I was going to do, but I had like some money saved and like I was just walking the streets. And then 12 days later, my mom passed away.
Wow.
So it was like probably the heaviest moment of my life for sure.
Yeah.
How long ago was that, Ryan?
So my mom passed away 12 years ago. Basically, my mom passed away 12 days after I moved home. And then that's how I met Dre.
Really?
So it's kind of a cool story.
Dre is your wife.
Yeah,
So
Dre's my
everybody
wife.
knows.
So yeah, so I met, I would have never have met Dre. We're not like her circle of friends and mine, just, it would have never. So my mom passed away and, you know, at the time, I'm getting asked all these questions about the funeral and it was just like super head. Like there wasn't any Kevin Smith.
Right.
So like,
Right.
so if there was like a Kevin Smith, it would have been a lot cooler because it like had been like a young entrepreneur that understood like, hey, here's this young cat.
Yeah.
I'm not in.
God, he would have come in handy back then.
Fuck,
Hey,
he would have made it.
Kevin from Kettle Valley
Kettle
Memorial.
Valley.
Just a quick shout out
And
to him.
totally. And I've told him this. I'm like, dude, like, so we'd done the funeral or whatever, and so, it was like a who's who of my friends, like Drew Douglas and like all the boys, and it was like a really heavy moment because my mom was like the mom, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we do the funeral, and after the funeral, we got the little like cake and sandwiches at PDSCL.
Yeah.
Where my mom was living.
Right.
So kind of a cool story.
Yeah.
So I've obviously like had a few bevies. I'm trying to stick with it. Like people like, certain aunts are asking for this and like certain aunts are trying to take crystal and it was weird, right? Like it was my first like dealing with like death and it was like, I don't care what you take right now. Like I could care less. Like you're asking me questions that like don't bother me.
And not even the time or place to ask for that shit. Like,
totally.
come on.
So I'll never forget it. I walked through PDSCL's doors.
Yeah.
And there she was.
Yeah.
And she came up. She gave me. She's like, I just want to say I loved your mom. I knew her. She gave me a hug. Mm-hmm. I turned to Drew Douglas and Joel Fish, like buddies of mine, like since kindergarten. Mm-hmm. And I turned. I'm like, is it like bad that I want her number? I was like, should I feel bad right now? Like I've never believed in God or love. It was just like how I grew up, like kind of hard. It was like, if God's real, like, he wouldn't allow this to happen to my mom type shit. Right. And so I was like, it was like the only time I've ever had that and the birth of my son.
Yeah.
Where I was like, you know what, there's gotta be like a higher power kind of shit. And so I met Andrea. I call her Dre. So I met her there. She gave me a hug.
Do you ever call her Dr. Dre? Because I sure as
All
fuck
the
would.
time. All the time.
Yes,
And,
you do. I love it.
So
I always go Dre.
and so after I met her, the next like
So did you give her or get her number right then
So
and
it's
there?
funny, yeah,
Like
so-
you're like a funeral crasher at your mom's funeral.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Like,
I didn't. I know,
That's
right?
a
she
movie
got
waiting
you
to happen.
when you were
So I didn't ask her
vulnerable.
that day.
She took advantage of you.
Yeah, she did.
That Dre.
But I sent her flowers.
Really?
Yeah. So like in the wake of like all the madness, I just remember like going and buying flowers. I'm gonna drop her some flowers
Yeah.
off.
You didn't take any
I
from
was
the
just
funeral,
gonna
did
say,
you?
were they funeral flowers, Ryan? Come on.
I'm frugal, I'm not
In
cheap.
true Ryan
And,
fashion,
yeah,
that would be
right?
the guy who goes to 2 high schools.
So I
Double
went
dipping.
and so I went and I dropped flowers off, and I was like, a couple days later, I was like, hey, like, can I take you for lunch?
Mm-hmm.
And so I took her for lunch, and this moment here was when I knew like this is my girl, like this chick is.
She is
You're giving
so
me chills,
So
man.
so
okay,
cool.
so this is the best part of this whole thing is like we're sitting, and Kayla Reum and Amanda, they're lifeguards, and they like had come up and like, hey, Rye, how you doing? I said good, and this is when I was sitting, and so then Dre had just sat down,
Yeah.
and so I introduced her as Andrea,
Oh, you idiot.
right? Which
Yeah.
is like
Yeah, dumb
that's
shit.
not her name.
It's Andrea.
Like, it's Andrea. So I
Oh
call.
shit! You
This
uncultured
is my friend
swine.
Andrea.
So I know. So I fucked this up so bad.
Big
and
time.
so basically, like, bump set Spike. I set this up like she could have like spiked this down and be like, I'm gonna land base this guy.
Yeah.
She didn't say anything. Like
She's
she
not
shook
a
their hands, right?
land-based-
So after they left, she goes, listen, my name is Andrea, not Andrea. Let's not do that again. But the way she
Fucking
did
just laid down
Yeah.
the law.
She
That's
does
So
in
right
a
then,
subtle way, though.
100%.
That's
Because she's like little, but I'll tell people right now, like,
mighty.
mighty as fuck.
I love that.
See,
Let's
how tall?
not
She's,
do
what
that
did she
again.
say? She said she's exactly 5 feet or 4'9".
She's like, I don't know. She's little. She's like, let's be gracious. Let's say she's 5'4", 115 pounds.
I'm 5'4".
Okay, then
so
she's
she's
5
5
foot.
feet.
So she's super little.
Yeah.
And I'm a monster. Right? So it's like Starsky
really cool.
and Hutch. So
Or more like-
so I already had fallen in love with her the moment I laid eyes on her. Like it was clear to me, like I would have known this girl. It was like super weird how I decided to leave Edmonton. Now I'm home. My mom's passed away. And now this beautiful human's in front of me.
Yeah.
So then it only reiterated like when she like again could have like embarrassed the fuck out of me. But she didn't. I was like,
She just waited.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then we started dating, and then we've been together ever since.
She is, I gotta say, she's a Leo, and I'm all about the Leos. Like my entire life, I'm surrounded by Leos all around me. Like there's probably about 8 of them, and she is patient like Lucy. When we get going, and sometimes Ryan and I can get pretty crazy and pretty wild, and
Yeah.
we don't have the come to Jesus meetings right then and there. They
Hallelujah.
wait until we get home. Hallelujah that we're still alive with some of the shit that we've done.
Oh, yeah.
While we've been out together. So I gotta say, like Dre is, and she keeps me in line too.
Oh, yeah.
She keeps an eye on me and makes sure I'm on the straight and narrow when she's out with us and when we're doing our girls thing. And she's amazing. She's just she's a saint. She's so
Mm-hmm. It's like
patient.
super cliche, like like you got lots of friends and colleagues, but like really like your circle of people. Like for me, as yourselves, like we deal with humans and customers daily, right? So like I'm very much like when I like it's not like you turn it off, but like when I don't have to like deal with humans and customers and chat or like go to Walmart and have to have 15 conversations, this and that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when I get home, like it is just like
It's your safe space.
100%.
And it's not even your house. It's her.
100%, yeah.
She's your safe space.
And I always take so much heat, like, oh, you didn't come to this or you didn't do that. And it's like not that I'm like, brushing people off or this or that. It's just like for me, when you're in retail in an industry, which I'm in, it's like super go. And like you're micromanaging and it's like,
You're just on. You're always on.
You're 100%. Like you always
are.
have to be on because my thing is I was been in retail my whole life. And
Except for those 5 minutes when you were on the rigs.
yeah, I did 5 minutes neighborhood
4
driller.
hours.
Yeah.
Give him some
They
credit.
didn't even pay me for the training.
Oh, what?
So yeah, I just think for like, yeah, when I get home, it's just like, it's total like
Yeah.
family time,
Yeah.
you know, and certainly, you know, Dre all the time, she's like, well, we need to go out and we need to go do this and that. And we do it to a point, but at the same point, it's like, for me, it's like, honest to God, like I'm like in my most happy place watching TikToks with my son in sweatpants, just like total like dad mode.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's like so much cooler than like a V's game or this or like a this or a that. And so again, like it's not that I don't like going out or I'm an introvert or anything like that. It's just like, you know, you touched on it, Jenny, where it's like you're always on.
Yeah.
So
Reach a limit.
100%. And you know, for my industry, you know, it's obviously, like you said, it's a saturated market. So the Blue Water brand, you know, we were the 6th store open in the province.
Yeah, you said that the other day, and I was
so
like,
it's like
holy shit,
kind of
that's
cool.
cool.
Like, so we've been in it since day one. Like literally, like there's a few in Vancouver, a couple up north in BC, and then like Blue Water Cannabis all over British Columbia. And so, you know, I've been in it since day one, and now I do a lot of consultations for stores like as far as like Montreal.
Really?
Yeah. So
amazing.
yeah, so it's like really cool. It kind of ties in like kind of what distinguished the Blue Water. It's like we have owner operators in this community that I've fundamentally helped. Ultimately, I want all the entrepreneurs to be successful. If you don't want to be the guy or the girl in your industry, to me, it's like, what's the point? Now, I want to be that because I have employees that their livelihoods are dependent on us being successful. So I take that very seriously, the fact that like being relevant and being in the now. And so for me, you know, I've, like I said, worked with stores as far as Montreal, Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, to even stores in Penticton, Kelowna. Like last week, this young manager reached out to me via Instagram.
Yeah.
It was, hey, like, you know, I'm 21. I just got this really cool gig. I'm managing a cannabis store in Kelowna. I said, right on, man. Like, buckle in.
Yeah.
It's going to be a ride.
Yeah.
If you ever want any help, just here's my bat line.
Yeah.
Shot him my cell phone.
Yeah.
He messages me all the time.
Yeah, that's
And so
awesome.
finally I was like, yo, let's do it right. Let's do a Zoom. I'm going to send you what we're going to go over. And so now you see those success stories where like he'll text me, not as often, but he'll text me like, hey, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Because like it separates him from all the stores in Kelowna, the way he goes about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it trickles effect to his owners, like are showing that this kid gets it.
Yeah.
And so for me, you know, I was in the liquor industry since like, you know, I bust tables at the Elite restaurant.
Yeah.
Back when it was owned by the Greeks.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, really cool restaurant. So
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I
And
love
so
that spot.
I've been in some capacity with liquor for a very long time.
You went from like bartender to bud tender.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
You're a
Went from
bartender.
like selling, you know, alcohol,
Yeah.
which is like such a, like, you know, poisonous, like slippery slope, to where the cannabis industry, the demographics 19 to 100. Like I call them my golden girls, and they come to the store every Friday,
They.
quarter after 1, just after lunch at the retirements.
Really?
Oh yeah. Then
No
they'll push.
way.
They'll push the button, and I open the door, and they're like, "Hello, Ryan." I said, "There's my girls." They'll get a few CBD drinks. They'll get a few gummies, and it's cool building those relationships because the cannabis industry's got that stigma, and like I always equivalent to like fun analogies because those work. So here it is. Sarah, Jenny, and Ryan go to Fairview Liquor Store.
Yeah.
Pop-Off walks out with a 2-4 in nudes. Sarah walks out with a 4-liter of Chardonnay and a straw. And Ryan walks out with a 60 of vodka. No one bats an eye. It's culturally acceptable.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Pop-Off, Sarah, and Ryan leave Blue Water Cannabis. She's got some gummies.
Yeah.
Pop-Off got some sleeping capsules. I've got some pre-rolls.
Yeah.
Oh, look, they're leaving the cannabis store.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've been in it since day one of its inception of legal cannabis, and it's been a wild ride, and certainly it's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the market is certainly saturated.
Yeah. How do you deal with that? How do you stay like different? What do you do?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool because like in Oliver we were the first, and
Right.
then we had one, and then that, you know, so we were 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6. So at a point there was like 6 cannabis stores in Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver's a small
community of
town.
4,500, and a BC cannabis store, a government owned and government
Right.
funded. Our tax-paying dollars fund it.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about a battle? Like, so now 3 have gone. Now this industry 60% of the stores in the Okanagan will not be here this time next year.
Really?
That's just simple economics. Most stores aren't covering their daily, monthly expenses. And I have those talks, with, entrepreneurs and owners, and I have to walk them off the cliff. And it's like you eventually, you sometimes have to have that difficult conversation. It's like, listen, I absolutely love you, and I don't think you're surrounding yourself with the people that need to have told you this 6 months ago. You're not going to turn this around.
It's too late now.
This is the Titanic, and right now you're Jack hanging onto that piece of wood.
Yeah.
And your old lady's letting you sink to the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
So it's simple economics, it's simple numbers, right? And so for us, to your point, like what makes Blue Water kind of stand out is like accolades are sweet. And, in the liquor industry, we were never nominated for best of. And I thought to myself, how is this that we're the second highest grossing liquor store? Literally everyone follows our Instagram and what we're doing because it's just like relevant and fun and it's fresh, but we never got nominated.
Right.
So the whole cannabis thing came up. I didn't even bother. So I'm like, man, I don't even concentrate with my shit with that kind of stuff. I'm just focusing on like today.
Yeah.
How can today we be better than tomorrow?
Right.
And so then obviously we had gotten nominated, which in and itself was like ashtray. Like I got home like, babe, we were nominated. We were fucking nominated.
We were
right? And so it was like
yeah.
super cool. Like, cause someone obviously must have nominated us and a few other people. And like to that, like it was the like long days. Cause when we first opened Oliver, like I was like opening and closing. Like it was super long hours and it was like stressful. The fact that like, Dre, my wife was super understanding. It was like, hey, like this won't always be like this. So
yeah,
we got nominated for best cannabis store and we ended up pulling down bronze.
Yeah, cool.
And we were only open 3 months.
That's freaking cool.
Wow.
So we were open 3 months.
Yeah.
We pulled down bronze.
Why do you think that is?
I think we live in a world of click and likes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
doing it for the gram.
Was this the Chambers best of or the
this was
or that other
Penticton
one?
now.
Yeah.
After watching the
where
chamber
people vote,
thing,
right?
after watching the Business Excellence Award this year.
Yeah, let's just not go there.
Yeah, we won't go there, but yeah.
We've all got our
I
opinions
just
on
know
that one.
that's a very controversial subject.
It totally is.
Great party.
I heard it was really good.
It was like, no, it was fun, but like, it was really cool to be nominated just in itself. I was like over the moon and it was like super cool to like show our staff, like, hey, like their stores 35 feet down the street that have been open a year and a half. And we've been open 3 months and we've won bronze.
Yep.
So 100% big part of that is click and likes and people are loyal to people. And I think how I've always treated people is how I want to be treated, how I want my kids to treat people.
Yep.
We are all human beings and we need to understand that. We don't always have to have the same ideas and thoughts. We don't always have to have the same political views, whether it's so relevant to vaccinated, unvaccinated. I've never gotten into that. It's not my place to tell you how to live your life, how you want to do it, what you want to do. That is your life and you need to live it. You need to fail, you need to succeed, and you need to make memories.
Right.
And so I think why Blue Water, not only in Oliver, but certainly now in Penticton, Blue Water is known throughout Canada. So Blue Water, it's got a footprint in like Toronto. And like, so we are like, we like myself, I sit on some boards representing 380 licenses in this province now.
Holy shit.
And I don't wear the tie and I don't, and so I'm just like spitting facts. Again, it ties to my I always sound like a broken record. I'm not the 6%.
No.
I'm the captain of the 94.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it for the 94 because some people can't say it, whether it's their business or,
Right.
and I understand that and I get that. And that's why, we touched on it, like this whole being in the public eye, I could go walk down Main Street. Myself and a few counselors, most majority of people aren't going to know who those counselors may be.
No, I wouldn't.
Right? I could go to the Walmarts of the world, the superstores, and the wife hates it. I could have about 15 conversations.
Oh God, Lucy hates it when we go to the store.
And so it ties back to that kind of introvert thing. It's like, and I think why Blue Water's been successful in a really oversaturated, really crazy, because when you talk about cannabis laws, when you talk about the do's and don'ts, when you talk about how you can get your brand to market. So Instagram is like one of the biggest tools. And so for me personally, we're 2.5 years into the industry. We're sitting at number 47 Instagram accounts. So in the beginning, I thought ultimately it was a compliment because it was like people reporting their shit because it tied back to that cool people doing cool shit.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I was like, whatever. You know what? Give me 6 hours. I'm going to surpass you in followers and this and that, right? So at first I was like, it was like kind of poking the grizzly to the fact that, like, okay, I could play this game all year.
Yeah.
So then, after a year and a half, 2 years, it became you're diluting your brand.
Right.
Right. When you have to re-ask people to follow. And so how we can get our brand to market is like one of the most toughest things in any industry you've ever been part of.
Right.
Whether it's federal or provincial. For me, I will always push the cannabis laws to the absolute breaking point because we are not criminals.
No.
We're trying to destigmatize cannabis. And so, we do cool things. And for our 1 year, like we've got the cool staycation, for 420, we're doing a trip to Mexico. Like we're doing cool things and relevant things that kind of people, it resonates with them. It's like, you could go to the same place and spend your money, but you're going to go and spend it where people have taken the time to learn your name. They've taken the time to actually build that relationship, whether it's 30 seconds or 2 minutes. Yeah. When I was in the liquor industry, you go out and like, oh, it's the beer guy.
Yeah.
It's the beer guy. Or the reversal to that. When people would come through the liquor store, like they're your best friends.
Yeah.
You talk about everything under the sun, but when they see you at the Safeway, they turn their head.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I don't want to associate with the beer guy out in public. So I've been in the drug game, whether it be liquor or cannabis, restaurants, bars, nightlife. So I get it.
Yeah.
Right. So like, and they'll come in, oh, sorry, I didn't say hi to you. I'm like, hey, dude, like, you don't have to apologize to me.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hurt my feelings.
Please don't. Once in a while, just don't.
So
carry on with your fucking day.
Yeah.
Right?
And so the big thing for me is like, I'm on both spectrums of it. We were the first guy in Oliver, then many came. And then when we finally opened Penn, I understood there was going to be a little animosity, the fact that Ryan and Blue Water are coming home.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, this is my home.
Yeah. And did you had some hoops to jump through when you came back to Penticton
Yeah, so
with that?
so like before I came on with the Blue Water Company, I actually, now this is before I was part of cannabis. I had no inclination I was to be part of cannabis. I sat as a special advisor to the city of Penticton. So I sat as
on cannabis, on the cannabis topic,
on cannabis bylaws. And so it became very clear very quickly that these dinosaurs had no clue about the financial investment, because one of the things they first shopped was that they were going to charge cannabis businesses $5,000 a year for a license.
Wow.
And it was going to happen. And finally I pushed a little button and I said, hi, Ryan here.
Yeah.
Listen, right now you have liquor stores doing $3 million a year.
Yeah.
You charge them $186 for a business license.
Yeah.
On what moral grounds do you think it's even a fucking thought to charge a new company $5,000? So it's going to be $5,000. Then they took that away. Then they also put in place that you weren't going to allow to have rolling shutters in front of your windows because you had counselors. Oh, these are going to be gangs. They're going to shoot each other in the streets, just like typical Katie Robinson, right? Yeah. So like you had these comments.
Oh shit!
Shots fired.
Yeah.
So you had these comments that were just so out to planet Pluto. It just made no sense to me. So I said, listen, on the peak of summer, you're going to have stores that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment to have a store. They're going to have product, they're going to have accessories, and they need to protect their asset. Yeah. Again, let's not kid ourselves. We have a problem with crime in our community because our judges have created this culture where Billy and Martha can get arrested 104 times. Okay, Billy, do you pinky swear this time you're going to be better?
Right.
Well, you're going to see Billy in about 5 days. Yeah. Right. So I said, and some of these employees are still top jobs. I said, you mean to tell me that you expect business and entrepreneurs to make huge financial investments, but they can't protect their property? You've got liquor stores that are allowed rolling shutters. Yeah. Why can't a cannabis store?
No shit.
So they took care of that. And so then again, I had no inclination I was going to be part of cannabis. They had just asked me because I was coming from a liquor perspective.
Right.
And so I was like, let's embrace it. I said to them, and this is kind of like one of my funnier moments. I said, could you imagine if it was all of you deciding on the winery, the Naramata bench? Could you imagine the same concept? Like, oh, we better only do 3 or 4. and that's it.
Yeah.
You guys embrace the wine industry, and now it's arguably the number one wine industry in the world.
Yeah.
So let this thing grow. And so they've capped the stores. And so certainly when I came to Penticton, I understood there was going to be a little animosity because I'm on the other side of it. I'm the first guy in Oliver. Now I'm coming late to the game.
Yeah.
To your point, a lot of people understand that you need to show the province brick and mortar lease agreements before you go and apply to the city.
Right.
So the ownership group at the time, I wasn't part of it, they had signed a lease agreement and then did their application to the city.
Right.
And they got denied. That doesn't change the fact that they've signed a lease with a landlord.
Right.
The landlord's not going to let them out. So the ownership group has paid rent
Yeah.
at our location for 3 years.
Holy shit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For 3 years. So when we open Penticton, we're not opening it like clean slate. Like I have to understand that like, okay, this is the debt. This is the objective and the goal to get here. Now we have done a brilliant fucking job.
Yeah.
And I will always give kudos to my staff. If you got a good crew, that's 99% of the battle. And so when we finally opened the doors, it became very clear that, again, some of our city staff making decisions just have no clue of how the real world works. They've never wanted for nothing. There's no accountability there, and they can basically do whatever they want.
Right.
So I had realized that the bylaws in Penticton operating hours had the less economic operating hours than any municipality, not only in the Okanagan, but in BC. Summerland, OK Falls, Oliver, Osoyoos all had more operating hours than Penticton. Penticton was 9 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
So I pride myself on a guy that's collected many favors at City Hall. I have been that guy that puts himself in the fire for certain individuals.
Right.
And I've never called in favors. So I called a favor not only for Ryan and Blue Water, but for the cannabis cottages, for the green lights, for some people that I've grown up with, that were in the same industry.
Yeah.
No shining example than Okanagan Signs and Dwayne and you. Like, it's so cool to see the collaboration, right?
That's new business, right? Like,
And
that's just the way things are going. That's it.
We
It's trending.
we all got to play in the same sandbox.
Yeah.
Right? As long as we're not kicking sand at each other, if we can all make a piece of the pie and everyone can be happy and we can pay our staff, right on. So the bylaw wasn't going to be changed for leading up to November, this past November. And at the time, we were probably out this time, or we were March, we were probably in May. So I had John Vasilaki, one of the biggest drug lords of this community in the last 70 years. He had the highest grossing, well, it's simple. He had the highest grossing nightclub in North America at one point. He's got a liquor store that does millions of dollars a year. So he's in the drug game. Now, one substance to another.
That's what you're talking about
100%.
right now, liquor being a drug, right? So let's not get that confused
and that's
with
what happens
anything
all
else.
the time is like they'll say, illegal. There's no difference one controlled substance to another.
Right, okay.
Liquor and cannabis are both federally and provincially mandated, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I had John Vasilaki come and Donnie Van Dyke, our COA. I called him. I said, listen, I did it right. I went through their people, added them. Come have a chat.
Right. And they did.
Yeah. So I had John and
Had some
Donnie.
attention there, hey?
For sure. It's like if I can get them in a room and we can have a quick discussion, they're going to understand where I'm coming from.
Right.
Now, I could go the opposite way and go in front of Global and lambaste them, but it's like, maybe you're going to sit with these guys at one upon a time. So you better just play nice.
Yeah.
So I had them come to the store. And John says, this is my first time in a cannabis store. I said, well, John,
that's a really good impression.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I said, well, John, it's absolutely wonderful to pop that cherry of yours.
Oh.
Now, come on in.
You did not say that to the freaking man.
Yeah. Johnny, let's go.
Let Uncle Ryan pop your cherry.
So I said, boys, I'm going to give you a couple examples. So it's hard to rebuttal and it's hard not to agree with me when I say, listen, like Summerland, OK Falls, Peachland, Oliver. So he's like, they all have more operating hours, guys. So John, imagine if I created a petition and it garnered thousands of signatures for the liquor stores to close at 8 o'clock at night. Oh, no. Okay. Thank you, John. Meet me halfway here. You guys have been brilliant expediting patio permits, like the pasta factory was so cool. Like they were so proactive, not reactive, expediting things during COVID and stuff. The cannabis industry,
Some positive reinforcement
100%.
there.
So the cannabis industry never got any love. And so I told him, I said, guys, like, put this to council and push this through. You're going to allow us to have more operating hours, which is more hours on paychecks that are spent locally.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
so
Yeah,
instead of like our
absolutely.
staff only working the, 9 to 4 or like a 4 to 8, like, oh, I work, 4-hour shifts. Like, that's not enough dollars on paychecks to survive and to keep those here.
Right.
So after like a 15-minute conversation with John and Donnie, you could tell they understood it. So I had that conversation on a Monday. Tuesday, council meeting, it was added for the following Tuesday. And that Tuesday, it was a unanimous vote.
Attaboy.
Even Katie Robertson.
Wow.
So it was like super cool to like get that done. And it was like, hey, like, I'm Blue Water and I'm Ryan. I'm certainly come to town to like be the guy and to be the store. But I'm also the same guy that you want in your corner.
Right.
I'm the guy that's going to make sure that we're all, to be successful, we need the tools for success. And so it was like probably one of the most biggest things that I've done, like municipality wise, like to Penticton to give those. So basically it was overnight. All of the stores went from like 8 o'clock to 9, then Friday, Saturdays till 10. So it was just simple math that just showed like more hours on paychecks. It stays locally. And so, even in this new industry cannabis, we've done all this with the dreaded COVID.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's been like kind of like, it's been like a learning experience to like, again, back in retail, all different walks of it. But it's like COVID has tested us as human beings.
Yeah.
Like it has brought out the best in some, but it has brought out the worst in some. And it's like, a lot of people, they go after the business owner or they go after the part-time employee or the manager. It's like, listen, like, this is a provincial mandate. This is like above my pay grade. Like, you think I want to wear a mask?
Right.
No. I like to tell jokes. I like to have fun. But I'm wearing the mask, right? Like, it's just like, so, now we're coming kind of the end of COVID, masks, Friday of last week, the first day, no mask. Like, people are just like so much happier.
Oh God, I saw somebody in the liquor store that I don't ever talk to. Like, not in the way that I greeted him. Like I saw him, and normally I'd be like, "Hey, Bear, how's it going?" And when I saw him with like his mouth and like his whole face, I was like, "Hey, Barry, how are you?" Like, it was just like so overly, because I was so stoked to see his face,
and I think
it was really cool.
Yeah, people are, they're fed up and they're frustrated, and again, that ties into, hey, we're all human beings on this planet.
Yeah.
And so like we need to be better.
Yeah.
And I think like I've always lived that way of like, we don't always have to agree, but even if I'm outside dealing with some people that were trying to set up and shooting up or busting that rock or whatever, it's like I'm gonna break them down, but I'm gonna leave them up better than I left them. It's like I understand the opiate addiction.
Right.
I get that, and so we've had instances where when we first opened, there was this young girl and she came into the store and bought some stuff and I asked her, I said, well, where are you from? She's from New Brunswick. I was like, well, why are you here in Penticton? Like, how old are you? She's like 22. And I said, like, well, what's brought you here? And, obviously, it's a moment where it's kind of cool in the industry where like people, they don't look at you as like, a bud tender or Ryan Graham. They look at you like, here's a human that's actually engaging in a conversation and seems to want to give me some time.
Yeah. Oh, people love to talk
100%.
about themselves and be heard. And
so you listen to her
It's the
story.
number one rule of customer service.
Yeah. And so you listen to her story. And so for me, it's like, I'm never going to hand it over. But if you prove to me, well, so I said, listen, you still got a chance here. Like, this community is amazing. But where you are right now, this is the worst community for you to be in. Now, we can get you home. We can get you the money for your IDs and we can get you a plane ticket. And we're not going to ask you for that back, but we want to see big. But you got to prove to me. So I told her, I said, you go 2 weeks. If you want to get home to your daughter and to your family in New Brunswick, I will facilitate that.
Yeah.
But you need to show me with your actions that you mean it.
Yeah.
So I said, I want you to go 2 weeks. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
But I want you to get clean.
Yeah.
If you have the passion and you are still low enough to say like, this guy's going to get me home to my daughter and my family. Now it's obviously super easier said than done, but I just felt like there's a chance with her.
Yeah.
So she did it.
Yeah. No shit.
2 weeks. Then we got to 3 weeks. Then we got to 6 weeks. Total like reversal.
Yeah.
So she came we purchased her tickets
Yeah.
to get home.
Holy shit.
And so we help.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, we do it with comedy, and sometimes, we gotta, it's not, we've gotta be a little cold sometimes, but it's like, when you get to the level of wherever that person may be, then you get to really start working on them.
I got to say something. The other day I was in there and I was doing some photography for your company, and a girl came in and you offered her a job, like right then and there in Oliver, and said, if you're interested, and you handed her all the information that she needed. And basically she was floored. She was so floored. I was floored. I was like, holy shit. That was really, really cool. Obviously, she was a regular because you knew her by name.
Yeah.
You called her by name, and it was it looked like you guys had a really good previous friendship.
Yeah. She's like a great regular at our Oliver location, and she's worked for a couple restaurants, and I think she worked at Fire Hall Brewery for a little bit.
Okay,
yeah.
Kind of she
cool
was like she was a little bit taken aback too, though, when you said, and she was like, "Holy shit!" Like, good thing I came in today.
Yeah.
I thought that was really freaking cool. I was like, God, how many times does he do this? Like, he's just always like, I know you, and I know what a huge heart on you have. But it was, I mean, it just reinforced what I already thought about you, just to see that again in action. Like, you're not, you're Ryan Graham, and you're loud and you talk, and but you are also more than just talk.
For sure.
Like, you are all about
that's a
action.
good
And
point.
when you expect that from other people, and you will react and you will help them.
Like, I'm
because
never going to ask my
that's your
employees
value.
to do something I'm not going to. Again, it sounds like super cliche, right? But it's like, that's where we are as a society. Like, we leave notes and we dictate to our staff to, like, if I'm not going to do it, I wouldn't have an expectation for my staff to do it.
Right.
Now, to Kyra, that's a great example. So, great story.
Can we pause this for a sec? 'Cause I gotta-
Tune in next week for the continuation of this episode. Until then, stay hip.